Good afternoon, and welcome once again to B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matthew Balzer. Today, we're going to give you a recap of all the news and notes around the NHL, including some of the stuff that stood out from the exhibition games last night, some injury reports, and just some of the updates. So bear with us. And, of course, anybody that is looking to go to the local Vancouver Giants game in Langley this Friday night. We have a ticket deal for you, which we'll post after this episode on our website. And please message us for all those details if it's not clear. And tickets are only $20, and it's supporting the YMCA. So, Matt, last night there was some many games around the NHL. Before we get into some of the players that stood out for you, I wanted to let you know one of the things that stood out for me was Nashville versus Florida had split squads playing each other. Nashville won both games 5-3 and 5-0. And, man, they look great. But why don't you let us know who stood out for you? And I'll touch on a couple other things that stood out for me as well. So fans from all around the league can hear us. And, of course, John Tavares is making his debut tonight. And I know some of the Leaf fans are excited about him wearing the white and blue. So why don't you fill us in with last night?
All right, yeah. So the Nashville Predators, there was a huge point outburst from their top line of Kevin Fiala, Ryan Johansson, and Philip Forsberg. Forsberg had a hat trick, 4 points. Fiala had a goal and 5 points, and Johansson had a goal and 4 points. So those guys seem to be already in mid-season form, even though the lineup that Florida iced in that game wasn't the greatest. But still, you want your star players to get back on track as fast as possible, and they came out flying. Some other standouts in the Edmonton-Calgary game. Edmonton won 7-4, but Dylan Dubé had a hat trick for Calgary. That's one of their top prospects. Probably won't make the Flames roster, but it's a good start there. And Tyler Benson, former Vancouver Giant, turning pro this year, had 2 assists. And Kailer Yamamoto had 2 goals and 3 points. And also a couple of the highlights that I showed on our Facebook page, Kokaniemi, which I'll never get around that last name. That one's always going to give me trouble. But he scored his first goal of the preseason off a nice one-timer cross-ice pass. And Elias Anderson had 2 goals for the New York Rangers, scoring a nice breakaway goal in that game. So some of the prospects are showing their worth and trying to get on that track and making the NHL teams this year.
For me, Kokaniemi's goal, no matter how good it was, you could still feel the anger at the Molson Center last night from the fans towards general manager Mark Bergevin, as they are not a happy bunch there. Hopefully, if Kokaniemi keeps playing well and potentially makes the squad in Montreal, that kind of sees the anger a little bit. But, man, there's no hockey market quite like Montreal. I don't care how big Toronto is, how big Vancouver is, or any other city. But, man, when that Montreal fan base is going, that market is all hockey market. And they know everything, those fans. It's quite funny to see how mad they are right now, but I do feel bad for them for sure. That was one of the things that stood out for me. Of course, you filled in some great points. That line in Nashville was absolutely unbelievable last night, and man, if they get that kind of production in the regular season, they're going to get off to a great start. So why don't you fill us in with some of the news and notes around the league? A couple minor injuries, of course. I believe it's Delorier in Montreal is out indefinitely with a concussion from last night. So a third Montreal player now taken to hospital from the game. Man, these guys just can't buy a break. Why don't you bring us up to date with everything?
Yeah. So Nicholas Delorier actually suffered a facial fracture in a fight in that game, which actually what I saw from Delorier from last year in Montreal, he actually fit in pretty well on that fourth line when he got called up. So, but he's still more of a tough guy, so it's not as big of a loss as it will be. Buffalo had a couple injuries. Matt Hunwick is out indefinitely with a neck injury, and Connor Sheary is out with the dreaded week-to-week upper body injury. Yes, you think teams could just announce what the injuries are? It's preseason. We're not even in the regular season yet, but it's the upper body injury. And Patrice Bergeron has back spasms that he's dealing with that he could possibly miss just about the entire preseason. They're hopefully trying to get him into one of the last two preseason games, but that's something to take note there. And then, of course, John Tavares making his Leafs debut on a line with Zach Hyman and Mitch Marner. I think as we're recording this, they're playing right now, but if you're a Leafs fan, you finally get to see Tavares in the blue and white out on the ice. So we'll see how that game goes.
Yes, and Ottawa actually took a 1-0 lead in that game, only 21 seconds in. It's unfortunate it's not the regular season because Ottawa fans would be, over the moon right now with the team that they're dealing with. And, of course, Toronto would cancel their parade immediately. You came across some interesting stats today. Why don't you bring us up to date on that, because it had a comparison of Jake Virtanen with some of the elite players in the league. Why don't you bring us up to date with that?
Yeah. So I'll post a chart on our Facebook page so people get an idea of what exactly it is. So the story was
posted in the comments of this video.
Yeah, I'll do that. So the story was on Jake Virtanen and improving his zone entry playmaking. So basically, the chart is it takes the top 15 players and it shows the amount of carry-ins per hour and the pass percentage and points per 82 games during that. So Virtanen is actually ranked 6th in the entire NHL with 12.14 carries in per hour. McDavid's number 1 at 15.53 per hour. But the thing is with Virtanen, his passing percentage is only 9.1%. And if you look at guys like McDavid, he's 32.8%. Taylor Hall's 19.5. And then you look at the point totals. Virtanen only 82 per 82 games. And then you get guys like McDavid that's 108. Taylor Hall, going back to last season, 100 points, and Nathan McKinnon, 107. So the big thing here, as they broke down, by the way, the article is with the Athletic by Harmon Dial. I don't want to say, don't want to steal his stuff without crediting him, but basically it's breaking down that Virtanen is pretty one-dimensional. Like he can get the puck, but then again, he keeps his head down a lot, which limits the amount of playmaking that he can. So the big thing is either to as he comes in, to have his head up, looking around to get that pass, or to be a little bit or drive the net more to create more scoring chances, which we saw a little bit as the season went along. Towards the end of the season, that he started to drive the net a little more. But the thing is, like Virtanen, he has all the tools, but I think the one thing that people knock him a lot is that he's not exactly the brightest hockey player out there, which is frustrating sometimes as a Canuck fan, because you see all the tools that he has. You just want everything to come together. But I thought it was pretty intriguing to see him that high up. He's higher than Matthew Barzal, Alexander Ovechkin, and Johnny Gaudreau are a couple of other names that he's higher above, which is very interesting.
Lots of speed on that list, and of course, that's one of the reasons why Jake would be so high, is just being able to carry the puck into the zone each and every time. But hey, it brings up a good point. I mean, yeah, it's, we're talking elite stats here, but if he can improve some of those areas of just even his puck distribution once he gains the zone, how much he could potentially impact, the change, the score of the game. and the way the game's played. It will be interesting to see how he improves on that this year. So today is also game day, right? Canucks playing tonight as well. There's tons of games on the schedule. But for all the Canuck fans, as well as Oiler fans, why don't you touch on a few of the notables that are in the lineup for the Canucks Oilers tonight?
Yeah. So for the Oilers, they aren't dressing any of their big guns. So McDavid and all those guys aren't playing. So their biggest names are Ryan Strome, Jesse Puljujärvi, Ty Ratty. Their top prospects that are playing are Tyler Benson and Kailer Yamamoto, who will be playing in back-to-back games. And Cam Talbot looks to be the starting goaltender tonight. The Canucks starting lineup, the top line, which I'm very intrigued to see, is Sven Baertschi, Elias Pettersson, and Nikolai Goldobin. They played a little bit together over training camp. The second line is Jonathan Dahlen, Bo Horvat, and Louis Eriksson. I'm glad that Dahlen gets to play with a top-line center like Horvat to see how he adjusts. The third line is Brendan Leipsic, Sam Gagner, and Jake Virtanen. Leipsic and Virtanen are both battling for those bottom six roles with all the forward spots. And the fourth line is Tim Schaller, who makes his debut, Marcus Granlund, and Tyler Mott. Granlund looks like they're going to try him out at center for this entire preseason, because I think a big thing that Granlund mentioned last year and Green had brought up was that they didn't really know where to put Granlund. So he was at center. He was on the wing. He didn't really have a defined role. So it looks like they're going to try him out at center for this entire preseason. And the defense, Ben Hutton and Chris Tanev, which I think should be a pair to start the season. Michael Del Zotto and Troy Stetcher. Ashton Sautner and Alex Biega round out the back end. And the goalies will be Anders Nielsen and Michael DiPietro, but Nielsen's supposed to play the entire game. And Jeff Patterson pointed out one of the power play units that was practicing this morning as with Pettersson, Horvat, Baertschi, Goldobin, and Hutton. So that could be a pretty lethal power play tonight.
Canuck fans as well as Oiler fans will be keeping a close eye on that game. As well, let us know the team. If you're watching your favorite team's game tonight, let us know what you like about it. Leave us a comment below. Remember to like and subscribe to our channels on Facebook as well as on YouTube. We will leave a post about where to get the tickets from if you're interested in getting Vancouver Giant tickets for this Friday at the Langley Event Center for only $20 a piece. It is a fundraiser for the YMCA. So once again, this is B&B Hockey Talk. We love bringing this to you every day. This is just today's news and notes from around the NHL for September the 18th. So thanks for tuning us in, and we will see you guys all tomorrow.